Welcome back to the Purple Pod, the best K-State podcast out there. I'm Stevie B, or AKA Stevie Johnson today.
I'm Kenny G, or Kenny Giddens today.
And we're going to be talking about K-State's 42-20 win versus Oklahoma State yesterday at Bill Snyder Family Stadium. Kenny and I actually got to experience it together. Here's a photo. Taken by the amazing Savvy, Kenny's wife. That was an amazing photo, an amazing experience, man.
Yeah, dude. Perfect day outside, perfect weather. The fans really showed up. My voice is kind of gone, Steve. See, I don't have any shows coming up. I don't have any performances that I need to worry about. So I can go to every K-State game or just in the comfort of my own home and just scream at the TV as loud as I want. I don't have to worry about my voice going out because I have nothing going on in the future. So, man, I was hyped for that game. It was actually my first home game that I got to go to. And what better way to go to a home game than to be sitting in the press box seats and then moving up to the sky deck and experiencing it all, Steve. It was just a blast to be there.
It was, and the pregame meal was pretty good. Biscuits and gravy, hash brown casserole. I skipped what was it, apple cobbler or whatever that was. I skipped that. Totally skipped that.
Yeah. I mean, it was all really good. The ice cream, the drinks, of course. I mean, the fans, the whole experience is amazing. If people have never been to the Bill, you got to at least try it once. Yeah, especially with it being such a beautiful day. I mean, a light breeze, which really helped the heat a little bit. Yeah, man, just all around, just a great day. The Cats won. My initial thoughts are, man, way to respond, man. Like this was definitely a respond back to what happened the week before. In a game where we just did not look like ourselves whatsoever. And we come back to the Bill and we put on a performance like the kind of performance that you and I both know K-State is capable of pulling off every single week. It's just finally good to see the Cats sort of clicking now. And there are still some issues, some things that you and I are going to break down and talk about today in our post-game review. But I mean, all in all, what a huge improvement. And against a very, very good team, a team that both teams needed to win this game. It was a must-win game for both teams. And in a situation like that, you really want the Cats to be at home with the home field advantage. And man, did that pay off.
It did. And I just want to say, I got some stats to break down. It was a fun game. Got to hang out with Kenny, hang out with my mom as well, because my mom has season tickets, which I assume at some point I will take over whenever that time comes. But for yesterday, I was able to go up into the press box, hang out with Kenny and his family, hang out with my mom in the regular seats. It was a lot of fun. I got some stats, though, I want to talk about. K-State still has not lost consecutive football games since November 2021. Also, yesterday, it feels like K-State kind of figured something out on offense. It was the first time all season K-State had scored more than one offensive touchdown in the first half. K-State scored 3, and also scored 3 in the second half, which was great. First time this season K-State had scored 40 plus on offense. Now they scored, I think it was 41 in the first game, but there was a special teams touchdown in there. And I saw this on the ESPN bottom line. K-State has scored 30 plus at home in 11 consecutive home games. So 30 or more points in 11 consecutive home games. That's pretty good. That is pretty freaking good if you're K-State. And I thought Avery Johnson played well. The offensive line played really well. The running backs played well. Play calling, for the most part was good. There was a few times I did not agree with it, and we'll get into it here in a minute. Defense I thought was pretty good for the most part. It was kind of a bend or don't break type of game. Overall, really fun game. No issues from special teams either. It was definitely a prove it, get right game for K-State, and they proved it to me, man. And this is a tough Big 12, and we'll get into the scores later. But there was a shocker late night if you didn't stay up for it. I'll just say that. There was a shocker late night. So I'm going to pull up the stats here in just a moment. And K-State, I will say this, as my computer's running slow now.
Moving forward, I think moving forward, if K-State is going to be playing at home, I think you can't. I mean, with the stat you just gave, you can't give K-State less than 30 points. They've proven over the last 11 games at home, that's a lot of games at home, that they don't score less than 30. So going forward, if you're going to give K-State any points at all at home, it's got to be at least 30 or more, which is pretty remarkable. That's really, really great. It says a lot about the Bill, the fan base, and it is a little alarming that we can't be consistent. We know that playing on the road is tough. But Steve, just to kind of give a little touch, we'll go over it again later in the show when we go look around the Big 12. But last week it was all the home field advantage that everybody won, and then but except for one game, that was Stillwater, where it went the other way. And then this week it was like the opposite. It was like everybody lost except for the Bill, and then in Lubbock as well. That was like the only two home fields that won. Everybody else lost at home, which is really weird because we were just raving about how home field advantage is so important in the Big 12, and then this week they proved otherwise. There was a couple nail biters yesterday, Steve. Not just in the Big 12, but across the nation. It was a really, really good day for football across the nation. I'm sure we'll get into all of it later. But Steve, what do you got for me?
I actually have a highlight that I wanted to show that you took on your phone late in the game, because we're about to get into the K-State offense and versus Oklahoma State defense. This is a video of Avery Johnson's last touchdown of the game. Let's go and share it here. Here we go.
Beautiful. Yeah, I think at this point, my wife took that video. She grabbed my phone. She's like, I think something big's going to happen. I'm like, I hope so. She didn't catch the very beginning of that video where he actually rolled out from getting tackled. It is so hard to sack Avery Johnson. I mean, he is just so aware of his surroundings. He's got like that internal clock that you want to have as a quarterback. And he rolls out to the left side, sort of doing like a spin, I guess you could say, or just a rollout. And then right when he gets to the 20, I'm like, just run it in. Just run it in. Just run it in. And he does, of course. And man, it's him, and maybe you could say Dylan, that just have this game-breaking speed about them that I don't think people are really ready for. He shows glimpses of it here and there, but I think when you're actually there in person, it's like really hard to adjust to. And man, what a weapon we have in Avery Johnson. I mean, when he's on the ground, good luck.
You're muted. Sorry, I was muting it because when I shared it, I don't think I shared it with the audio. Maybe I did. I don't know.
You did not. You did not. But that's okay. I was commentating over it.
Okay. All right. Anyways, it was pretty loud with the crowd noise and all of that. So let's go ahead and get right into this breakdown of the K-State offense here.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Avery Johnson. 19 of 31, 259 passing yards, by far his most passing yards in a game. 3 touchdowns, which was nice to see considering he had that early interception. He responded very well considering his next pass was a touchdown to Garrett Oakley. He had a 92.6 QBR. Moving on to running, DJ Giddens was a boss. I think he had at least 3, if not 4 explosive plays. 15 carries, 187 yards. I actually think he had like 13 for 190 before the last two, and I think the other team knew that K-State was trying to get him 200. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. He did have that long 66-yard touchdown run, which was a thing of beauty, where he shook the safety, took it to the house, and then Avery Johnson had 5 carries for 60 yards and 2 touchdowns. Dylan Edwards, 8 carries, 22 yards. He also had a couple receptions. First game all season, he's had double-digit touches. Jace Brown led the receivers, 4 catches, 78 yards, 1 touchdown. First time all season a receiver has caught a touchdown. Kenny, what do you see here when looking at the stats?
I think you and I were going over like the math somewhere in the middle of the game, and we were saying that DJ was literally averaging 22 yards a carry at one point in the game, which is so insane, dude. What is that stat? Like how is that even a stat, like a real stat? And it wasn't like because he just had like 2 touches. It was like I think he had over like 10 carries at that point, and he had like 22. Yeah. That Ollie who I was literally shouting that at the top of the sky deck. I'm like, Ollie who? Yeah. There is, I mean, I'm pretty sure DJ closed the book on that right there. The chapter is over on who's the better running back. I mean, the game proved it right here. DJ was an absolute stud, and just so you know, Steve, the I want to say it was the last year when we lost to Missouri. The next game we played at home was UCF, and DJ went absolutely insane. And so then you have this year where they lose at BYU, and then the next game at the Bill, DJ goes absolutely insane. This guy is so relentless. It's like, and I love the post game. Being a Christian that I am, gave a lot of credit to God and that he was praying a lot. And so that meant a lot to me, that he's using his platform for a great cause, a great, and just, giving credit where it needs to be. And so it's just really cool. DJ is a solid dude. I'm never going to talk bad about this guy. He is everything you want and desire in a running back. He runs through the opposing players. He never stops until the whistle blows. He's always falling forward. He breaks tackles. He puts all of it out there on the field. It's just incredible to watch. The effort that he has is just that like work, that hard work effort that you just desire to have on your team. And he's not a flashy guy. He's not going to give you like all these crazy like highlight reels, but he's just going to like pound it down your throat. No Diddy. Every single play that he gets the ball. And it's just, it's really just an amazing thing to watch. Now, you're right about Dylan. We criticized the offense a lot for not having him at least just in the game. Like we wanted him just to at least be in the game, having more snaps like in the game. Now he didn't like do a whole lot, but he was still productive for the most part. I still enjoy. I think the defense probably was keying on him when he's in the game, but I think the more often he's in the game, I think the less people are going to key on him specifically, because I think we just need to have him in the game regardless of if he's getting the ball or not. I mean, it's almost like if he's in the game, they almost give him the ball almost every time. And that can't be the case. Like defenses are just going to pick up on that really easily. But overall, good to see that the receiving core started picking it up a little bit more. That's really nice. There's still a lot of issues. There was a couple drop passes that it's still really frustrating. How do they have it in their hands and they can't just secure the ball? When Oakley caught that touchdown pass, you and I were like, that's great that he got the pass, but it's still a tight end. Like we cannot get a touchdown to anybody but tight ends. But Avery proved us wrong, and Jace proved us wrong. Finally getting that touchdown that we've been wanting all year. It finally came through. So all in all, man, what do you say? What do you want me to say, Steve? Like the offense was popping off. yesterday. Yeah, there were some mistakes here and there, but the response, the way that Avery bounced back, so insane. That's exactly what you want in a quarterback. And DJ, what a freaking, I mean, he was turned. He was turned, dude.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw it or not. Jace Brown, when he caught that touchdown, which by the way, that was a sick catch because it was like the ball was in the air forever and he had to readjust it and his defender fell down and like I think everyone thought he overthrew him. There's a photo of him like catching it and like his body is like this, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But after he caught it, he goes in for a touchdown. He blows a kiss to the Oklahoma State cheerleaders.
Love it. I love it. I love it.
It was nice to see the passing game finally get going. Avery Johnson, 259 passing yards. We talked about it earlier. There are still some issues with the receivers. You talked about it, a couple drop passes. I still have some issues with the play calling because after DJ Giddens went 66 yards to the house, he did not go in for the next 2 drives. What happened? Both of those drives ended in a punt. In fact, one of those, look at this.
We were passing it. We were passing it. It's like, you just saw what we did with the rush. Why are we throwing the ball? Like, I already went on this rant, dude. I already put out a rant. If it's working, why are we trying to throw? I mean, it's like, oh, we don't want to be one-dimensional. Okay, I'll grant you, like, the pass was on point. Like, and Chris Kleiman even said that during the practice on Thursday, he said that, like, Avery basically was, like, nailing the receivers like the best he's ever seen. Like he was like, wow, he was on point with all of his throws. It was incredible to witness apparently. And he's like, that was the best I've ever seen you throw the ball. And so, yeah, I guess that probably played into, well, Avery looks like he's on, this week. So we better just like have him throw a little bit more. But during the game, you have a guy who is popping off on the run and they can't seem to stop it. It wasn't just one play, Steve, as you already mentioned. It was multiple plays where he was getting like 30 plus yards. He was going nuts, man. It's like, then just keep giving him the ball. Just keep giving it to him. He's clearly walking over the Oklahoma State defense. It's not an issue for him. Just keep giving it to him. I don't get why. I don't understand the OCs. I don't get it, man. I don't get it. Like it wasn't until the very end of the game when probably DJ was already spent, like he probably was cashed out at that point. But like, it wasn't until then, and the O-line probably was cashed out at that point. It wasn't until then that they like weren't allowing him to get like 30 yards a carry, like it was still working throughout the whole game. It just it boggles the mind. It really does. Sorry, Steve. I had to pop off a little bit.
I was going to say, you said literally everything I was about to say. But yeah, no, it was kind of frustrating considering he had just went 66 yards to the house and they don't put him in for the next 2 drives. Fine if Dylan getting in there, but there was one drive. K-State passed it on first down, ran it on second down, pass it on third down, and it was a 3rd and 1, right? And you don't put DJ in, who's been dominant. They couldn't stop him. Let me give you some stats on DJ Giddens right now. DJ is 4th in the country in rushing yards overall, 604 rushing yards. He's 4th in the country in yards per rush at 7.2 yards per rush, and 5th in yards per rush after contact. I saw that on Twitter. Shout out to Parker Eves, at Parker Eves on Twitter for saying that. But yeah,
amazing. That's amazing.
DJ's
dude.
Killing it. Yeah, absolutely killing it. And I got to give a huge shout out. We've not done it enough. K-State offensive line, 300 rushing yards, 8.8 yards per carry. That is insane. Now, obviously, DJ's breaking a lot of tackles, but there's some huge holes. Like, I don't even know if he got touched until the very end of that 66-yard touchdown run when the guy wanted to, like, touch his butt or something. I don't know what's going on there. The offensive line was dominant yesterday. 0 sacks allowed. Let's take a look at the overall stats here. I think it's like 560 total yards. Let's take a look here. K-State offensive line was killing it yesterday, dude. And I know that Connor Riley was challenging them throughout the week after last week's performance. Yeah, 559 total yards, 259 passing, 300 rushing. I mean, that's almost perfect balance. You got to give a huge shout out to the big guys up front, man. It was great to see. And it was really nice to see Avery Johnson Also do well. He had I think is his second or third highest QBR at 92.6. Only the 5 touchdown game at Texas Tech last year, and then the bowl game versus NC State were higher. I mean, this is the Avery Johnson that we wanted to see like all summer. All summer, we're like, man, we know what he can do. He had 5 touchdowns in the game last year. He did it today or yesterday. And he was great to see. He was great. And it was really nice to see that he bounced back perfectly after throwing the interception, which I guess there was really a miscommunication there between DJ Giddens and Keegan Johnson there. But overall, he played phenomenal. The offensive line played great. The receivers are playing better. K-State offense is it's finally clicking, and hopefully it keeps clicking the rest of the season, man.
Yeah, consistency has got to be the word of the day for Kansas State. What we just witnessed at the Bill yesterday, that needs to be a consistent thing that we see throughout the rest of the season. If we have any hopes and dreams of making it to Arlington, how do you beat a team that is that balanced, who is a threat on the ground and can still throw? We're not making crazy throws or anything like that, but we are at least trusting the throw. I mean, I had criticized Avery for not being able to throw in the middle of the field. He threw it right in the middle of the field to I think it was Keegan Johnson.
Keegan Johnson and Jaden Jackson had some in the middle.
Yeah, and that's something that I had criticized Avery for before, and he was able to hit those targets. That's what you want to see. You want to see improvement throughout the season. We're going to have a bye week this week. Hopefully there's even more improvement there, just more gelling and working on the very specific mistakes. We'll get into that maybe another day when we talk about that game coming forward. But what we saw yesterday, incredible. You can't ask for anything better from the offense. Especially what we did the week before. We didn't even get a touchdown. The whole game we didn't get a touchdown. So it was very nice to see how we were able to bounce back and for the first time all year get more than 40 from the offense. I mean, that was something that we have been craving for, since that was something that was very easily done the year before. Now I understand new quarterback, new OC, all that other stuff, but K-State is still K-State, and we know what we have, and we know that the talent wasn't lacking. It was just everything coming together at once, and it really seemed like everything was just coming together. So yeah, really exciting stuff for the future of the team, and looking forward to the future games of the rest of the schedule, because I already mentioned this before, but this was a must-win game for K-State. If they had any chances of looking to go to Arlington, anything can happen in the Big 12, but this was important. This was a huge, important win. Mike Gundy's team is always coming to play. And, maybe they didn't come to play this last week, or maybe the Cats were just on. And I think that's really what it was. The Cats were just on. We played better than we ever played for this whole year so far. So really exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just want to say a couple things here, and then we're going to grade the offense and get the cat of the game here before we move on to the defense. Yesterday was Avery Johnson's second 5-touchdown game in his young career. He's only 19 years old. Like, that is crazy. Obviously, you'd like to see K-State do more last week at BYU. That was kind of a learning experience for him. He's only going to get better, and we saw it yesterday. And they said on the radio yesterday was K-State's first time that a quarterback had scored 5 touchdowns in a home game since Colin Klein in 2012. Actually, it was 2011 when they beat Texas A&M, and he had 6 total touchdowns in that game. So Avery Johnson's in pretty good company, I'd say, considering that guy went on to be a Heisman finalist. So, all right, let's grade these positions here. Quarterback, I'm going to go a solid A. I'd give it an A+, but there was an interception there. So
yeah, I would also give it an A. 5 touchdowns. I mean, what do you want me to say, Steve? The guy was on fire yesterday. He made one mistake, but the response to that mistake was more impressive than obviously making the mistake. And then hats off to the defense, and we'll get into them for actually not making that mistake turn into anything more than a field goal. So, it was something that could have been really bad, could have haunted him. But Avery being able to just kind of brush that off and move forward and get back in the game and honestly play his best games all year so far. That is really good signs showing that he doesn't let bad things affect him really badly. So A goes to me for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely. Running backs. I feel like this is pretty easy. They also get an A.
Yeah.
They use in a receiving game as well. But when you run the ball for 300 yards, that's pretty good, pretty good. And they did mix in both DJ Giddens and Dylan Edwards, and then Joe Jackson got some run as well. Yeah, A easily.
This is an easy A for me as well. I mean, DJ just quite literally, he at one point in the game he was 10 yards shy of 200 yards a carry, or 200 yards for the whole game of carrying the ball. That's very impressive. And you and I have always praised DJ for how insane of a running back he is. The stats don't lie, and yesterday's the eye test did not lie. I mean, he was incredible. So A for me. It's mostly DJ behind that, but I mean, the other running backs did really well, did really good as well. So
it was nice to see him do that in front of Deuce Vaughn that was in the house yesterday as well.
Yeah,
so
I got a quick comment here.
Go ahead.
When we move the pocket, Avery looks comfortable and he made throws on the move. Absolutely, man. And a lot of the time he didn't even have to throw. He had so much room, and he made a couple touchdowns that way where he was looking to throw, and he just made some good football plays. I mean, like some good football calls. I mean, Avery can do it on the legs, and we were super critical about why are they not allowing him to do that, or why is he not doing that himself? Like sometimes when you're the quarterback, you just have to like make the call to just go for the run and make a football play. And Avery is 100% capable of doing that almost every single play. I mean, he's unstoppable when he's got the ball in his hands, when he's running the ball. I mean, he'll at least get you 4 or 5 yards. And then it says right here, Avery is able to feel pressure incredibly well, in my opinion. Yeah. I mentioned that earlier. I said there's something about his like instincts, maybe, or that internal clock when he knows that somebody's coming, if he's not aware of it. And we saw that on full display yesterday.
You mean for that touchdown that you videoed and we showed it earlier? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And what I liked about that also is that throughout the game, there was a few times Oklahoma State shut down the number one target he was looking at, and then he had to look to a second or third option, and he was able to find that. You know what I mean? And in fact, that touchdown to Garrett Oakley was not his first option. You and I were both shouting it, "He's open! He's open!" And he rolls to the right, and he finds him, and he actually threw it to him under a little bit of pressure as well. Like he said earlier here, he's able to feel pressure incredibly well, and he did that there. He did that on his touchdown run. He was dominant yesterday, and that's why he gets an A. So
yeah, absolutely, yeah. Like credit to him. And then if we're gonna grade the line, we have to give the line an A as well. I mean, you don't get 300 rushing yards and 259 passing yards without a solid line protecting the quarterback. Now, yeah, of course, Avery was able to scramble around and get away from some pressure there, but you're going to have a couple of those every game. I mean, there's going to be a defensive line or a linebacker that's going to come through and on a blitz that someone's going to miss a block. That's just going to happen. But for Avery to be able to, get away from that. But overall, the entirety of the game, the offensive line gave Avery years to throw and gave DJ a mile hole to run through. So, I mean, hats off to them. They also get an A for me.
They get an A+ for me, man. 300 rushing yards, 0 sacks allowed. That's an A+, man. It just is. Offensive line played great. It was nice to see. Carver Willis played good. Taylor Potier, Sam Hecht, Line Gang, Panzer. Everyone played really well yesterday, and they get an A+ for me, man. They don't get enough love. They really don't. And then finally, receivers. What are you going to give the receivers? I'm going to go B- because there was a couple drops. I'm going to go B minus there.
Sorry, Steve. I had blow my nose a little bit there. Yeah, the receivers, it was as much as they improved, it was all about the run game yesterday, more so than the receiving. Even though we did get 3 touchdowns from catching the ball, but I want to say probably a B for me. There were a few dropped passes, and whatever that miscommunication was, I know it was probably DJ or whoever. Not being on the same page with Avery led to that interception. We can't ignore the interception, even though it didn't have a huge impact into the game as a whole. But it still happened, and you want to minimize mistakes as much as possible. And so they get a B for me. I mean, they were years better than what they've shown in the past games.
I'll move up to a B as well. Actually, now that I look at these stats, I mean, the top 3 guys are all wide receivers, which is nice to see considering K-State has really only been throwing it to the running backs and tight ends. So, I mean, when 13 out of your 19 completions are to receivers, actually 14, because I want to say something else really quickly. I loved that K-State rewarded Ty Bowman with a start at receiver and a catch on the first play of the game, when we have other guys, not going to call out a bunch of them, but I want to say Dante Cephas has done nothing all year, and Ty Bowman's been here for years, and I love that they were able to mix him into the starting lineup, get him the ball on the first play of the game, and show that you have to show up every single day and work, and it's not just going to be given to you. And I like that they rewarded Ty Bowman. I really, really, really do. And like I said earlier, I'm going to move up to a B with the receivers. So
yeah, it was really great to see him get a catch, and it was a significant catch. I mean, right down the field, 19 yards, solid.
Absolutely. No Cephas, no problem.
Wow.
Okay, let's do the cat of the game. We'll move on to the defense.
All right.
Take it from here, Kenny.
We had Steve and I were texting back and forth during the game, and we're like, well, at this point, Avery is looking like the cat of the game right now, until DJ got that 66-yard touchdown, and then he was closing in on 200 rushing yards. He has 209 yards total. It was really DJ's effort putting up those, like, yards after breaking up blocks or breaking up tackles and stuff like that. And DJ had to be in there, but you cannot deny Avery's performance yesterday. So we've done this before, where we gave DJ and Dylan co-cat of the game. We had to do it again for this game. It was just too impressive for both of these players to not get it. So at this point right now, DJ cat of the game, Avery cat of the game. And after the 5th week of the Cats playing, I'll do a little update, Steve, for you. DJ is leading right now with 3 cats of the game. Dylan's got 1, and Avery Johnson has 2. So far, that's what we got in terms of stats. I mean, DJ's really putting on in terms of the Purple Pod, and we know better than anyone who deserves cats of the game. It's DJ and Avery this week for sure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, there was some division between you and I on who should get cat of the game. You're like, it's definitely DJ. And I'm like, dude, Avery Johnson has 5 touchdowns. Like, he's got to be cat of the game. So we decided to go co-cat of the game. And it was nice to see that 2 people got it this time, considering we gave it to no one last week.
Yeah.
No one deserved it on offense last week. And so it was kind of nice to see the entire offense bounce back, scoring 40 or more for the first time on offense this season. 11 straight home games, scoring 30 plus, 559 total yards. And Avery being the first quarterback in 13 years to have 5 touchdowns in a home football game at Bill Snyder Family Stadium. It was great to see. So, yeah, definitely co-cats of the game. DJ is an NFL running back. We've talked about it. He's going to have a long NFL career. He's just that guy, man. Like, Dylan is really good. DJ is an NFL running back. He is, and he's in. Like we said earlier, Ollie who
Yeah,
DJ was the man yesterday. So
yeah, really put to bed that debate between the two running backs yesterday, if I do say so myself.
we spent most of this time talking about the K-State offense, and as we should. They were the talking point last week. They kind of felt like they were the reason that K-State lost. Let's get into the K-State defense here, because K-State's defense was really stout the entire game. Third and 6 for 17 on third down for Oklahoma State, 0 for 1 on fourth down. They threw the ball 50 times, and the only touchdown passing they gave up was a trick play. The K-State defense came to play yesterday, 135 total rushing yards, and I want to say probably 40 to 50 of that was on their last drive of the game, which Gundy was trying to make it not look as bad as it was, because it was a blowout. It just was. The K-State defense was phenomenal. They forced three turnovers. I don't know why they don't have 3 on here. There was 2 interceptions and a fumble lost. That's wrong. K-State defense they had 3 turnovers, and it was really great to see, man. It really was.
Yeah, I mean, the defense has never ever been a concern all year. It just, when you have the only problem that the defense had last week was because the offense was turning it over to BYU and giving short fields to BYU's offense. But when you give it like on a normal playing field, like where they get on their own 30 and they got to drive 70 yards, our defense is very capable of making it very difficult for teams to get touchdowns. It's such a beautiful thing to watch and witness. And they scored a field goal first quarter. Second quarter, it was a field goal and that trick play touchdown. And then it was lights out all third quarter. And then basically the very end of the game, where it was garbage time, basically they scored another touchdown where I don't even think at that point when he scored the touchdown, there was like no one in the stands. in the sideline of Oklahoma State didn't even like cheer or anything. It was like it wasn't even like a hype thing that they scored a touchdown, because they knew the game was over. And I think I agree with you, Steve. It was a lot more of the fact that Gundy probably just didn't want the team to look that bad but we knew how bad it really was, for them at least. But I would say my initial thoughts on the K-State defense is that secondary stepped up, bro. The secondary stepped up. We did not get a lot of sacks. We got a lot of pressure though. But not. I don't think we had any sacks at all. As a matter of fact,
zero sacks allowed for Oklahoma State. Their quarterback has the fastest release I've ever seen. But I'll say this about the secondary: when he threw that ball,
I could be taken so many different ways, Steve.
When he threw that fade pass, the ball was in the air. I was telling my mom, and I yelled it really loud 2 or 3 times. That's a wrong corner to pick on. Wrong corner to pick on. And what happens? Your boy, Jacob Parrish, picks off the pass. Perfect coverage. I mean, honestly, this guy is insane. Like, I feel like this is the best corner K-State's had in a while. I mean, Julius Brents was really good. Very, very, very good. I feel like Jacob Parrish is right up there with him, man. I really do. He played great. Our guy, Marcus Siegel, finally caught an interception, man.
Yeah.
Shout out to the K-State secondary.
It has to be shouted out again and again and again. The performance that they gave was just so impressive. And, there's a reason why you don't throw to Parrish. I mean, he has... There's something about his pressure that he puts on the wide receivers. Even if you catch the ball, you're not going anywhere. Like, you're going to catch it and you're going to basically land right where you caught the ball, because Parrish he is so sticky on his receiver that he has to guard. And you saw it in full display on that interception in the end zone. I mean, he was all over him. Like, why are you throwing it to him? Like, you could criticize his size. He himself said that he's put on some weight, and that has actually helped him become a little bit more physical against the run and more physical against bigger guys. Because all these guys that he's going up against are like 6'4". Like Paris is not a big dude, but I think it's his discipline and like his work ethic on the field that allows him to be able to be in the perfect spot at the right time, and he hustles and he plays every down. Like it's so nice to watch. I mean, he doesn't just do it on like random plays. Like he is getting after it every single down. And so it's just really, really nice to watch. And yeah, man, Keegan Johnson coming up big, man, getting an interception. There was also Riley almost had an interception, which
I like how you said Keegan Johnson got an interception.
Oh, Keegan Johnson. You know what I mean? Siegel. Marquise Siegel.
Marquise Siegel. Yep.
Siegel got an interception. My bad. My mind's going all over the place, Steve. And but yeah, Riley, I can't remember his first name, but Riley almost got an interception. It was like right there on the numbers. I wish there was like a highlight to show for it. But it was there, and he almost got it, which was pretty fun to see. But yeah, the other turnover, I think it was a bad snap. I don't know why they don't consider that a fumble, but
that's definitely a fumble recovery. I have no idea why they didn't list that as a turnover, but that's easily a fumble recovery. And I mean, K-State, they forced 3 field goals in the short yardage situations, which was different than last week when K-State gave up a touchdown every single time BYU had a short field. And then they had a fumble recovery as well, and then an interception as well. I mean, K-State was stout yesterday in the minus 30 area. And
Austin Romaine,
it was nice to see.
I think Austin Romaine at this point is just automatic. I think he's just automatic at this point.
Is he the best linebacker for K-State?
I think he is. I think at this point,
I think he's past the other two.
I think you have to give it to him now. And it's so crazy to say that because Austin Moore being a senior, he's a 5-year senior, 5th-year senior.
He's sixth. He redshirted and yes. Wow. He's a 6-year senior.
He's 6th-year senior, and then Des Purnell is a junior. Austin Romaine's only a sophomore.
He's like 19, 20 years old.
And when we saw him last year going in as a freshman, we're like, I mean, yeah, he's okay. He's good. He's all right. No, he is absolutely a freaking animal out there on the field. I mean, this dude, something happened in the offseason, and this guy is just incredible. He is a beast. I mean, he was like standing up Ollie Gordon and throwing him back. Like, that is crazy. That is, I mean, Austin Romaine, you can be on K-State as long as you want, man.
Come back for 10 years. Yeah, I mean, he's tied for the lead on the team with 7 tackles, 2 solo. Your guy, Jacob Parrish, 5 solo tackles. Should we get into our thoughts or grade positions for each position group for the defense now?
I mean, sure. Why not? We're here.
Defensive line, I'm going to go B-, only because there were 0 sacks. But they also held, let's take a look again. I mean, linebackers were a big part of it, but I mean, Ollie Gordon, he did nothing after the first quarter. He had 15 carries for 76 yards, and I want to say almost all of that. I think they said 74 out of the 76 was in the first quarter. So K-State defensive line for me gets a B-.
Yeah, the defensive line, you can't give them an A because they didn't get any sacks, which is unfortunate. And they did allow some rushing, right? So I'll give them a B-. Yeah, I think that's fair for them.
Linebackers, I'm gonna go A-, actually. We'll go A-. Linebackers were solid. I'd like to see more of the linebackers here in the top 2 or 3 in terms of leading the team in tackles, but I know they rotate in a bunch of guys. Ace Newsom's been playing a lot lately, man. They really have been rotating him in for Des Purnell more. Austin
Right.
Romaine, I don't know if he comes off the field, man. So I'm gonna go A minus.
Yeah, I think what happens is like we were running it like a 4-2. And when 4-2 was in, it was Romaine and Asa Newsom in. And then when we go to the 3-3, that's when you have Romaine, Dez, and Moore that are in there. So and we were alternating it like almost, it seemed like it was almost every other down that they were rotating. I'm not really sure what the reason is there, but I will say that the post game conference that Chris Kleiman said that they were giving them looks that they probably hadn't seen yet, and so hats off to Clanderman coming up with a really solid game plan to kind of throw off, I guess, the Oklahoma State offense, and man, it worked. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say B+ for the linebackers. So we're basically right there. Because I want to leave room for the secondary. I think the secondary really popped off for me. I think that was the shining light there.
So in terms of secondary, I'm gonna go B+ because they did give up 300 plus passing yards, but they did have 2 interceptions. They only gave up 1 passing touchdown and was on a trick play.
Yeah.
Most of the passing yards they gave up were like he catches it, gets tackled immediately. Almost every single time. He talked about this earlier. Jacob Parrish is really sticky. The rest of the defense was pretty good as well. I'm going to go B+ only because they gave up like 300. Let's take a look. 364 passing yards, something like that. Yeah, 364. So I'll
yeah,
go B+ with
they were picking on
secondary.
they were picking on Garber a lot early on, and it's interesting because Garber has been pretty good for the entire year so far, but for whatever reason, I guess he was showing some looks that allowed them to sort of pick on him a little bit during the beginning of the game. But I think he tightened it up pretty well and was able to shut down what they were trying to do. So I want to give A- to the so we're just switched on the linebackers in the secondary. So A- to the secondary.
Dog of the game, the defensive player of the game is your boy, none other than Jacob Parrish. 7 tackles, 5 of those solo, 1 interception. Wrong corner to pick on. This is a pretty easy pick, man. I mean, tied for first on a team in tackles, interception as well. I think he had the most solo tackles as well.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, that was a pretty easy pick.
Yeah, I mean he is as much as I keep saying that DJ is becoming automatic. I think Jacob Parrish is becoming automatic, as well as Austin Romaine. I think both of them are like the automatic players on defense right now, and that actually gives Jacob Parrish his very first dog of the game. And if I want to just kind of go through the list and list off all the dogs of the game. And wouldn't you know it, it's a new player every single week, Steve. We have not had a repeating dog of the game all year so far.
Love it.
So we've got Dez, and then we got Toby, and then we got Parrish with 1, and they all have 1. Romaine, Garber, and Mott. So all of them have dog of the game. Now, I have a couple players listed here that they have an empty number next to their name, and that's VJ and Austin Moore. And I have them there because I think maybe one game we're gonna get them on the list as well at some point. But as of right now, it's just the 6 that I listed: Dez, Toby, Parrish, Romaine, Garber, and Mott. And I mean, that's just really cool. I mean, that no matter where you are on the team, at some point you're going to have some sort of like effect, and you step up in the game and it could come from anywhere. It could come from our corners. It could come from our defensive line. It could come from our linebackers. I mean, at all assets of the defense. That's what
All
you love to
levels.
see. Yeah,
All,
all
all
levels.
levels.
It's amazing, man. It's what you want to say. It's what you want to say and what you want to see as a fan. So hats off to Jacob Parrish getting his first dog of the game this season. I hope he gets more. I'm a huge fan of him. I believe he's going to be an asset to the NFL in a couple of years. I guarantee it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Easy pick. I feel like, man, I go back and forth on who the best defender is, but I mean, I would definitely put him and Romaine as probably the two best defenders for K-State right now, and he'll probably have the best NFL career of anyone, honestly. We'll see, though. We will see.
Yeah.
So that's the breakdown of K-State, Oklahoma State. We are going to move on to our recap of Big 12 Week 5. So here is the Big 12 Week 5 recap. Let's take a look at some scores, react to scores, all of that. Starting with K-State at home, 42, Oklahoma State 20. We did it in our main podcast here. Very impressive win for K-State to bounce back and get the dub. 40 points at home. 11 straight games, K-State has scored 30 or more at home. This is a get-right game for K-State. I'm not sure where Oklahoma State goes from here. They start 0-2 in Big 12 play. A loss at home, a loss on the road. But, I mean, it's not like you're losing to bad teams. Utah and K-State are pretty good teams, but K-State was definitely the better team for this game.
Yeah, I don't think that Oklahoma State just falls off a cliff here. I think that they did have the toughest schedule going into the season, playing arguably the top two other teams that are in the Big 12. And so to have to go against that is a tall task to ask for. And, unfortunately for them, the coin didn't flip their way. So they're starting 0-2, but I don't believe that they're like going to come apart at the seams. I think they're going to bounce back and they're going to probably have at least 6 wins. I mean, in the season, I mean, that they're definitely going to be bowl game eligible, but we'll see what happens in the Big 12 to see if they are a team that somehow makes it to Arlington. I mean, anything can happen in this conference, but huge win for the Cats. It was a must-win game, and also it was a game that we needed the offense to bounce back after having an abysmal game the week before, not even getting a touchdown. This time, finally getting 6 touchdowns. I said 6 touchdowns. That's what you want to see from K-State Wildcats if you're a K-State fan.
Absolutely. And, no one's going to feel bad for Oklahoma State, considering they had all their toughest games last year at home. And that's why they got to the Big 12 championship game. I fully feel like K-State would have beaten them a year ago had that game been in Manhattan. Karma, man. You could say that about
a lot of the games that K-State played on the road. I mean, Missouri, Texas. Yeah.
So no one feels bad for Oklahoma State after last year. So big win for K-State.
This game.
By the way, both of us picked K-State to win by a touchdown, and they won by a lot more than that.
Steve.
This is crazy.
That Arizona win looks a lot better now.
It does. It does. I did not stay up for this. I went to bed. Arizona was leading 10-3 at halftime. Utah had gone for twice on 4th down, 4th and goal, actually, I want to say, both times, and they did not get it. This is a great win for Utah. For Arizona. I cannot say that. I got to say it right. Arizona with the win here by 2 scores. They were the underdogs by 2 scores. Both of us picked Utah to win. It feels like Utah, not having Cam Rising, finally caught up to them.
But the thing is, Steve, I don't think that it was the lack of Cam Rising because, dude, Wilson was actually very impressive. He was getting bullied pretty hardcore, though, because that line looks a little sus to me, Steve. They were not giving him a lot of time, but man, the time that he gave him, he was getting like sacked and then throwing dimes to people. Like, he's impressive. He's a lot. I think he's just as good, if not better, than his brother for sure. But dude, Wilson, I think he's probably
Wait. It's his brother, is Zach Wilson.
yeah,
That's his
yeah,
brother.
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, isn't it weird that like his brother played for BYU and he's playing for Utah? That's kind of interesting.
I
But
mean,
no,
Lincoln Cure's brother plays for KU, and Lincoln's going to come to K State. So
yeah. Well, I'm just saying, Wilson actually was impressive in that game, despite them losing. I don't think that you could put that on him. I don't think Cam Rising would have been better. Maybe in like a senior, whatever, like seniority thing, or like a captain or whatever, being able to like talk to the team or something. But in terms of like snapping the ball and just trying to make the play, I think is it Isaac Wilson? I can't think of it. I don't know his first name. I know
I'll click on him real quick. Puduk wants to know if we technically hold a tiebreaker over Arizona, even though it wasn't a conference game. That I do not know. I would imagine that we do. I imagine that K State does not hold the tiebreaker over them.
I don't he literally looks like Zach. He literally looks just like Zach.
Seriously.
But yeah, so Isaac Wilson was not the problem with Utah. But Arizona, man, what coming off of a bye week, dude, that if you had a game coming off a bye week and you had to go against Utah at Utah, man, to be able to walk in there and come out with a dub, my hat's got to go out to Arizona. They had two very, just like we talked about Oklahoma State, Arizona had the same exact, so not the same exact, but a similar situation where they had
theirs
to go
was harder. Theirs was harder.
Yeah, theirs was harder because they weren't at home, but they had to go against Utah and go against K-State, not in that order, but they went against K-State, got absolutely demolished, and then went to Utah. So both were away games and walked out with a dub. Man, that's impressive. I don't know what that says something about Utah, or was Arizona not ready for K-State? It could be a whole host of different things. I don't want to speculate too much on it because at the end of the day, anybody can beat anybody on any given day. But unless you're KU, but for Arizona to walk into Utah and come out with a dub, that's impressive. I didn't watch the whole game either, Steve. I actually fell asleep on the couch, which I hate doing. But I ended up doing that.
Yeah, I feel like this game says a lot more about Arizona than it does about Utah. I mean, for them to be able to bounce back like they did with the first-year head coach. Now, we knew they had a bunch of weapons and a lot of talent on that team. But for them to be able to bounce back like that is great to see, especially considering, I mean, he had two rough games back-to-back, both on the road. And for them to go 1-1, I feel like a lot of Arizona fans would have taken that. Now, Utah side of things, I think you're definitely missing Cam Rising, even though your quarterback passed for 280 yards. I feel like there's some questionable coaching going on when you're going for it multiple times on fourth down and you're not getting it. And considering one of those was a passing play, I don't know what you're doing. But they'll both be fine. I almost feel like I didn't feel this way a week ago. I feel this way today. I feel like there might be a 6-3 conference team that gets into the Big 12 championship game because this is a gauntlet, man. This is a tough conference. Man.
It happened before. It's happened before.
It has. It's happened before. So, yeah. Let's move on here. Iowa State winning 20-0, but do not let that fool you. Iowa State was up 3-0 at halftime and 10-0 through three quarters. They were not impressive at all. Now, they did get their third shutout conference win of the Matt Campbell era, and shout out to him because I believe he became the all-time winningest head coach in Iowa State history. Both of us had them winning like 59 to like nothing. But you know, shout out to Houston for not laying down, at least defensively. Their offense is still god awful. Obviously, they scored 0 points, and I think back-to-back games, one at home and one on the road.
Eight quarters without a single score, Steve.
Yeah, Houston's really bad. They're by far the worst team in the conference, and you know, Iowa State won by 3 scores. That's good, but I mean, they did not look good doing it, man. I still feel like they're probably one of the top teams in the Big 12, but did not look good. They did not.
Penalties really ate up Houston, man, which is unfortunate for them. I think there was a touchdown that got called back, or there was a huge play that got called back because of penalties. It's unfortunate for them. I kind of feel bad for Houston. I mean, Willie Fritz is an amazing coach and a huge asset to have for that university. And they did pull up this stat where he would come in on his first year, and it would always be a stinker on every college he's went to. The first year he would be there, and then like the following years he would only lose like a total of like 4 games for the entire like time he was on the team. So he would only lose like 1 game or 2 games, whatever, for the season. So I definitely don't blame coaching staff here. It's just there's going to be some growing pains with Houston, but hats off to Houston, like you said, for not laying down against arguably one of the best schools in the Big 12. Iowa State, man, what are you doing? You have really failed expectations in this game. You were supposed to run the gauntlet against this team. This is not, I mean, you want to be happy you got a dub, but the fans are not like, they're not on any forums talking trash right now. They're kind of walk of shame. Like they got the dub, but they're like, yeah, we got the dub.
Okay, so Puduk says that Iowa State has a really favorable schedule. Let's take a look at it here. They play Baylor at West Virginia, UCF at home, Texas Tech at home, at KU, which, I mean, that's going to be all Iowa State fans in Arrowhead.
Yeah, they said it 1,000. Steve, they said it 1,000 times on the broadcast. Yeah, it was like they don't go against a top 20 team until November.
The final 2 weeks. Yeah, I mean, they have. I mean, I could see them being, 9-1, 10-0 for sure. Heading into the final 2 weeks at Utah is going to be a very tough game.
When's their bye week? Or they already had their bye week.
So, I mean, it's going to be tough for them for sure. The final 2 weeks, but before that, I could see them being 10-0. I really could. But I mean, if you're gonna play like you did yesterday, you're gonna get beat. So
if they're playing. Oh wait, no, they have Texas Tech at Ames. Man, I was gonna say Texas Tech might actually give them a run for their money.
UCF is pretty good at home too, but yeah, I mean they could be 9-1 or 10-0 for sure going into the final 2 weeks. So. Let's move on here, because I feel like I have to give an apology letter to BYU fans.
I don't, because I actually called them to win.
I'm sorry I picked you guys to lose. You guys are actually legit. You guys are up 21-0, 31-14. You almost let them come back. You almost did. You almost let Baylor come back and win the game, but you didn't. You guys are 5-0. Your quarterback's amazing. Almost 400 yards by himself. BYU's a good team, man. They're 5-0. And I have to say I'm sorry to BYU fans for picking the wrong team to win. You guys are legit. Passing the ball, you guys are very good. We'll see what happens going forward. 5-0 is very good, and like I said, I'm very sorry for picking Baylor to win the game. Now, I did pick them to score 31 points, and they almost did. They almost did. You guys did give up a couple touchdowns to some receivers, which has not happened all season long. But also, they won at SMU. You know what SMU did yesterday? They dominated Florida State. Now, Florida State is having a bad season. They're not a good team, but they absolutely demolished Florida State, and BYU won at SMU. And I think SMU scored 66 the week before against TCU, which TCU just got done beating KU, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But I'd say I'm very sorry for picking BYU to lose. They were clearly the better team, and they're 5-0 for a reason. They're a very good football team, and they're sneaky good, man. They could make the Big 12 championship game. So I'm sorry, BYU fans. I'm sorry, Cougar Nation, for picking the wrong team.
Yeah, I had my prediction was to go with BYU only due to the fact I don't think Baylor is very good. And I thought that maybe it's not so much of a hangover, but it was more so maybe they're just like really hype. It could be one or the other. You either get a hangover or you're just hyped and you believe in yourself and you're going with a lot of confidence. And so I went with the latter. I said BYU is probably just really confident now. because I felt like Kansas State really beat themselves last week. It wasn't necessarily BYU running the table. Now, BYU, of course, capitalized on every one of K-State's mistakes.
Every one of them, and shout out to them for doing that. But yeah, I agree with everything you're saying so far.
Every single mistake that Kansas State made, BYU capitalized on it, and of course, that resulted in the score of what it was last week. And so, coming into this game, I was like, well, I'm not really 100% sold on their offense, but I mean, when we had Brett Hammer on, he was telling us Red Slav is the kind of guy that likes chaos, and when there's chaos in the game, he thrives off of it. And man, I'm not sure I didn't watch the game because it was around the same time that Kansas State was playing, so I was not watching the BYU game. But it didn't look. I mean, I don't know how much chaos was going on when your guy is getting 21 points before Baylor even scores. I think this has a lot to do with with who Baylor is versus who BYU is. I know it might sound like we're not giving BYU credit, which is unfortunate. We have a small sample size of what you guys have this year, and but you're 5-0. I mean, you're 2-0 in Big 12. Take that for what it's worth. I would definitely want to keep my eyes on this BYU team as the season goes, because right now, currently, they're the only undefeated school in the Big 12, and that should mean something.
Iowa State's undefeated too. They're the only.
Oh yeah. I keep forgetting because they're a game behind because of the bye week they had.
I want to say one positive and one negative, and then we'll move on here to TCU and KU. The positive is that they're 5-0. They're the only team that has won 3 road games so far in the Big 12, and they've won all of them. And they're 5-0 overall. One negative they got to figure out is why they only scored 3 points after halftime. I mean, I know your guys were up big, but laying an egg in the second half almost got you beat. But you didn't. You won. But there's a little bit to clean up, man. There's a little bit to clean up if you're BYU. So shout out to them for being 5-0 and winning this game. Again, I'm sorry for picking the wrong team. Moving on. We both picked TCU to win. Neither one of us had them winning by double digits, I don't think. I had them winning 31-30. They made a bunch of plays in the fourth quarter to win. It was a back-and-forth game. I love it. I love this score, man. I do. I love it. I don't know what's going on at KU, but the football gods are right for the first time all season. K-State's 4-1. KU's 1-4. Everything is right in the world, man.
Everyone's happy now. The fact that this happened at Arrowhead Stadium even just gives me more of a smile on my face that they were embarrassed at like a NFL stadium, like, and there are some pictures that were taken. It says the Jayhawk walk is back, like with them leaving the stadium. I was like, dude, this is so amazing to watch. Yeah, man. KU. Yep, I think you're done for the year. JD6 is a bust. I don't know, man. Their
50%.
Done.
Yeah, I mean, 50% on him and 50% on their OC for sure. I mean, their last play was 4th and 10, and he throws it to a guy 5 yards short of the first down who drops it anyways. But, I mean, what are you doing, Jalen Daniels? Like, I do not know what's going on. I mean, I love it. I love it as a K-State fan. K-State grad times 2 from Manhattan. I love it. I think both of us said the smart play was to pick KU to win this game, and glad we did not go with the smart play, man. I mean, TCU, they responded in the right way after giving up 66 points a week ago and then losing in the final minute to UCF. Their season's not over, man. We'll see what happens with them. They're 3-2, 1-1 in the Big 12. But, man, I love this score. I love that they came in to Arrowhead and gave KU an L.
Yeah, and I really want them to get rid of that damn Jayhawk on the center of that field. Like, that was such a disgrace to the Chiefs. How dare you put a Jayhawk in the center of that field? That is absolutely disrespectful, and that needs to be called down from above. The NCAA needs to call that down.
Love it. Love it. Moving on.
This is the shocker. This is the shocker, Steve.
Is Colorado actually good? Are they actually good, man?
What? Okay.
I have a feeling
UCF,
that they actually are.
Hold on. Before we jump the gun here, Steve, UCF, they just came off of a bye week. The game that they played prior to that was against TCU, which we now are realizing that they're kind of booty. So, and it was a comeback win. You know, they had to claw back to win that game. UCF at home against a Colorado team that barely won their previous game against Baylor, you know, overtime, you know, crazy Hail Mary throw, basically going to overtime, and then gets that fumble there at the very end. You're thinking, dude, they're going to have such a hangover. They're literally flying across the nation to UCF. They might not be able to pull this off, but they did, Steve. They did. And I think a huge amount of credit has to go to Travis Hunter. That dude was on freaking fire. On fire. And
did you see him hit the Heisman pose? Did you see him hit the Heisman pose, dude? That was actually pretty sick.
It was pretty sick. You know, he always comes a little, I mean, that team always comes off a little gaudy to me. You know what I mean? A little cocky. But I mean, hey, if you got the skill to back it up, hey, I love it. It's just the same as if, like, you know, when Jace Brown blows a kiss at the opposing team's cheerleaders. I mean, he just scored a touchdown. You know, have a little bit of this, have a little bit of that. But I want to say that I was watching this game, and the broadcasting kept mentioning that Colorado is out rushing UCF, which is kind of surprising considering UCF is known for their incredible rushing offense. And they basically just got destroyed. A couple sacks on Shadur. Their line is still really, really sus. We're going to be talking about Colorado a lot in the next couple weeks because guess what? We're playing them at Boulder. So it's going to be interesting going in there. And yeah, man,
they're good, man. I think they're actually good. The UCF defense got exposed yesterday. I mean, they haven't.
I never thought UCF's defense was really good to begin with.
No,
that's the thing.
I agree.
That's the thing. And we saw that Baylor lost again. So how good is Baylor really? And they put them into overtime. You know, I'm going to hold off on Colorado's hype train until they actually play some legitimate teams like Cincinnati or Texas Tech or K-State, which they're going to be playing K-State, Arizona, Utah. They haven't played any of those teams yet. Oklahoma State, they haven't played a team with a solid defense yet, Steve. So I'm waiting. Okay, go ahead and read this, Steve. UCF offense
go ahead.
UCF offense is really bad, in my opinion. They run the same thing every drive. RPO with Harvey, handoff, RPO with Jefferson, keeper, then RPO with slant pass punt. Okay, at Colorado.
Sorry, I'm trying to look up this rankings to see if I want to see if Colorado's ranked or not.
I'll tell you what, Steve. Put Parrish up against Travis. Put Parrish up against Travis Hunter.
I would put Parrish up against almost anyone. Travis Hunter's pretty freaking good, man. It's gonna be a tough game here in 2 weeks.
Is he better? Is he better than T-Mac? No.
No, he's not. No, he's not. He's a better overall player because he can play both sides, but he's not better than T-Mac. It's gonna be a fun game, and as of right now,
We
Colorado is
just
not ranked.
we did, yeah. Okay, there you go. There's a reason why UCF wasn't ranked because they didn't play anybody really. So their wins are kind of like whatever. I mean, we played against Arizona, we won. We played against Tulane, we won. We played against Oklahoma State, we won. Like those are legit teams that K-State has already played. Colorado has not had that same kind of schedule. They played a really bad Baylor team, and they played against a UCF team coming off of a bye week that's looking sus. So UCF does have the players. RJ Harvey is the real deal, no doubt about it. But their defense has never been good, dude. We've said this last time. DJ ran all over them last year. So Colorado, good on you guys going down to Orlando, putting up a performance like that. I mean, hats off to you. I mean, Travis Hunter absolutely went freaking off. Shedeur Sanders, solid quarterback, probably the best quarterback in the country. I mean,
I don't know about in the country, but I would definitely say in the Big 12 he's the best quarterback right now, at least. And I'm surprised that they didn't rank them, considering how much ESPN and everyone loves Colorado. I mean, we'll find out when an AP poll comes out. In the coaches poll, though, they are not ranked. K-State has moved up from 25th to 20th overall. But yeah, I mean, this is a big win for Colorado, and
big win. I'll give them credit. I'll give them credit. I did not expect them to go down to Orlando and put up these kind of points. I thought it would be a lot closer game if they were going to win. It was going to be a lot closer game. But honestly, I thought UCF was going to run the table. I mean, they should be coming off fresh off of a bye week. I mean, I thought they were going to be firing off, with being well rested, everyone licking their wounds. This is not good for UCF. I mean, I was expecting this to be a high scoring game, and Colorado shut them down. So
yep, they did.
Hats off to Colorado. We got a lot to talk about in the upcoming weeks on that team, but for now, we'll leave it at that and move on here to
last game. This is a high scoring game. I think the over under was like 70. Of course, it hit the over. 85 combined points. Texas Tech with the home win. I think Cincinnati's offense, I could see why PFF loves it so much. Texas Tech might be a little bit better than we thought. But, I mean, they still have a lot of problems defensively. Both of these teams do. And that's why they're going to be in the middle of the pack for the Big 12. But, I mean, this is a fun game if you like a lot of offense. And Texas Tech with the home win, man. They start 2-0 in conference play. It's pretty good. I mean, I think that's exactly what you want if you were a Texas Tech fan, especially if you look at their schedule so far. I think they'd be happy at the beginning of the season if they started 4-1. So,
yeah, you can't be upset if you're a Texas Tech fan. I mean, it does look ugly. It looks ugly, but the W is a W at the end of the day. And if you would have told, like you said, if you would have asked a Texas Tech fan, said, "Hey, would you mind being 4-1 after 5 weeks and being 2-0 in the Big 12?" But and a loss to Washington State, I'm pretty sure they would have been like fine with it. Not giving any context to these games of how close they are.
You mean Abilene Christian? They're not going to. Yeah, no context there. We don't need context. That. Win is a win.
Yeah, win is a win. And Texas Tech fans are going to keep they're gonna keep getting excited and I'm happy for the Red Raiders winning at home. Now they're going to be going on the road. They have had 2 games at home for the Big 12. So now it's time to see what they can do on the road in the Big 12. But like I said earlier,
absolutely,
last week was all about the home field advantage, and every team except for obviously Stillwater won at home. And then this week it's flipped. It was flipped. Except for K-State got the home field advantage win, and Levitt got the home field advantage win. Everywhere else, they lost at home. That's devastating for the fan base for all these other teams. I mean, we don't need to talk about KU. They don't really even have a fan base anymore. But the rest.
5 games, the road team won. 5 out of the 7, the road team won. So that's crazy.
That's rare. That's rare. Only in the Big 12.
I agree. And that's a look around the Big 12 for week 5, man.
Yes,
we are going to possibly do a special show this week since there's no K-State game. We're hoping to try to get someone on, either a player or a coach or a player's parent on for the bye week. So we're still going to try to have content this week, and then next week will be normal as well. Actually, I think a week from today, we're still going to break down the weekend games, the week 6 games, and that's actually, I think, when we're going to start doing our power rankings. We'll do a show just power ranking and go and recap into Big 12. So
yeah, stick around for that. Yeah, we definitely want to get some more content out to you guys, even though the Cats are having a bye week this week. And I kind of like this placement of the bye week. I mean, I wish it was a little bit further down the schedule, but we'll take the third week bye week, I guess, for now.
Yeah, I mean, I like the momentum. Yeah, for sure. And I'm sorry to cut you off there. I'd rather have K-State continue the momentum going forward, but also it is a good time as well to get your mind reset and try to move on here in a couple of weeks. So
yeah, I mean, get it reset, get it ready for a Colorado game that's going to be tough. I mean, we see that they've got extremely talented players, and so just getting right for that. I'm not really sure about the injury list of K-State. We could probably talk about that in the special video that we do to see if anybody's out. We know a couple people went out to get checked here and there, so definitely got banged up a little bit throughout the game. But we'll see how much that is actually affecting their season for the rest of the season. But overall, excited about the win today or yesterday, and to talk about it today, and then definitely looking forward to the upcoming game. And then Steve, we had a bye week on our volleyball team this week, so now we'll go back and try to double up on our wins there next Saturday. So that'll be a lot of fun, and
we're going to try to start 5-1. I mean, we're 3-1 right now. I feel like we got a pretty good team. Kenny and I are probably up for Coach of the Year. We'll see what happens.
Don't know any of the other records from all the other teams, but we know that we are
we're the best.
We're up there. We're the best so far. So,
and there's not much else to say other than make sure you guys like, subscribe, and tell your friends.
Yep.
And lastly, of course, we got to say,
Go
Cats!
Cats! Woo!
Damn,